Bonjour, mes amis. Today we will have a very special and dear solo of mine up for grabs in this tutorial. However, I would ask of you to bear with me because if you want like a standard tutorial which lasts for only a few minutes and then you'll keep struggling with executing what I show you for the rest of the week or month, and eventually you give up, just like I did back in the day. It will not serve you much. So I just want to give you a little bit, of a backstory on this solo. So first of all, I wanted to, you know, fully play and cover this solo for back when I was still playing live, and this was I think late 2013 when I wanted to really learn this solo and play it live. And for some reason, whenever I would learn it and play it, I would either play the parts in isolation well enough, but I couldn't manage to connect them, or I could connect them but something wasn't going right or sounding right in the parts themselves. And I will show you why. Because as time passed on and I had a chance to watch a lot of tutorials on YouTube and watch many people play it with covers, even though they weren't necessarily teaching it, I saw many versions of these solos being played, executed, and again, with no intention of discrediting anyone, they either sound good enough, but they kind of play it wrong, or they just make their own version around the main solo, and it catches somehow because it kind of fools your ear because it's so fast, and as long as you do something remotely close to the original, it sounds good enough, and you're like, fuck it, I just want to play it. Anyway, let's go straight into it, and I'll show you what I mean by this. So, first of all, this is a double solo. Right at the half point, you'll hear, the main solo played by Dave the Snake Sabo. You'll hear it end with like a sustaining note, and the other part of the main solo, played by Scotty Hill, will begin. So don't be afraid to, just make a sort of transition if you're the only guitar player, or if you're doing a cover. Don't be ashamed to just cut and join, just like I'm doing with my cover, because I'm trying to keep true to the original. If I have to play it live and combine the two parts, that's a different thing, but since I'm not obliged to do it at this point, I'm not doing it, so I'm willing to show you how to play it correctly. So, first of all, the solo begins with like a sort of wanky dive bomb, and in my experience, what you can do to mimic that is just play the harmonics at the 9th fret of the D and G strings, play them together, that's kind of the sound you're going for. So I won't spend too much on this because we'll have a long solo. So right after this, you have the following. You can either play it here or you can play it here. However, I will show you within a few minutes why I prefer this position. So it is yeah, you can't really play it very slow. You kind of have to go for it. It's also, slight pinch harmonic over there. So my fingers are full of blisters if it's not visible on cam, so will you excuse me, but I can no longer bend and sustain notes at the right pitch for a prolonged time when making lessons like this, because I busted my fingers these last 2 days with way too many videos. So I hope you got the idea. It's now here comes the train wreck. Many people choose this position, many people choose this position. Let's start with this one. What a lot of the guys out there are playing is something like and then they play something like well, that is incorrect for a variety of reasons. So, first reason is if you really pay attention to the track, the original one, and you slow things down for your convenience, you'll hear there's no such overcomplication with it's actually but the second stroke is actually connected to the, so it's more like this is one part and then something like this. Go check it and you'll see it's almost, it's hard to get the timing translate to you without the backing track at this point, but sorry. Now, this is the first one. There's no, it's only, right? Now, the second one is people go well, if you make the overcomplication of going, now you took away the spot of one note, so in order to fit within the measure, you have to skip what otherwise would be this note. So you have to go, you have to skip this and just go with the remaining of the lick, which is, now there are a few problems here. So let's say you eliminate what I just told you you shouldn't do and you do it the right way. Now you have enough space for the needed note. Right? Now, as you'll be executing this, you will see that there's a different problem. When you're in this position, and this is one of the reasons why I'm not using this position, is that when you begin cascading up and you have, you almost feel like you can sweep it. Now, you can sweep it, you can not sweep it and just go alternate. The problem is with this finger, because this finger is kind of barring across these strings. If you go listen to the original, you'll hear that the final note is a very definite well, not as definite as I failed to do it right now. It's a note with a pinch harmonic, and what strikes you is that you have a very wide vibrato. Ouch. As I said, sorry, I'm unable to even hold one note at this point, but still. Right, so when you have this, even if you manage to get the pinch harmonic, the problem is that because of this bar, you're unable to go into the vibrato because you're kind of barring in, you're sliding across strings, and the G string will slip underneath your finger, and now you'll interfere your B string with the G string when you're making the vibrato. It sounds awful. One way to correct it, and several people did this, is instead of going, you can go. But again, it doesn't sound right because on the original you never hear the slide. Plus, when you have the slide, although it sounds fluent and fluid enough, like when sliding, you don't have that attack of just one note. So it's clearly not this slide, and it should be this one, but you're unable physically to execute it if you're barring, and if you choose not to bar, you have to roll. It's very complex. So this brings us to the next position where you can execute this, which is here. The same, right? So this one is a lot better. So you can have, now some of you might feel like this one again can be swept. Don't sweep it because it's alternate. And I'll show you immediately how you can ensure that you always land it properly. But the good news is that with this version you can fully do this, and it's also a lot easier for my finger because the G string is not so thin cutting into my skin. So when you have this, the reason why it's easier is because now you have the B and G going down one string, and you no longer have the bar, so they went out of phase, and you can have one finger for each of them. So now this allows the this note to be different from this note in terms of fingering. Haha. So you can do it this way, or you can do something different again, which is instead of going, you can just go, or which again leaves you right. Choose whatever you like. Personally, I prefer both of them, but slightly more this one because in part is the first version that I ever learned, and now I kind of slightly perfected it with the following mention that I'll make also to you, which is when you go, I choose to do the following 3-note per string passage as a legato, and I'm only using one upstroke for this one. Okay, and now since you did the upstroke, or why you did the upstroke is that the next one is a downstroke, upstroke, downstroke, upstroke. So you either learn how to pinch with an upstroke, or you'll just do exactly the opposite of what I just showed you. So you go downstroke, upstroke, downstroke, upstroke, and you land on a downstroke. Right? So downstroke, upstroke, down, up, down. Or you can just alternate the whole thing. But again, beginning with a downstroke if you're unable to pinch on an upstroke. And some of you might go like, "Whoa, what do you mean pinch with an upstroke? It's physically impossible because, you know, the flush of the thumb has to touch it." It is possible, right? Just try it for a few minutes. Anywho, now that we're out of this big conundrum, boy, what a big word. Probably part of my subconsciousness was waiting for a moment to pop it out. And since this was not one of them, I just decided to do it. Anyway, next one is very simple. Obviously, you can vary it, but there's no need to. It's one very straight, simple, straightforward version, and it's a pedal point lick. You're always pedaling around the same point, hence the name. It's like a pivot right here. So you take it down one string, right? That's the ending. Very simple. Give it a try, because right now, again, we're going into something very debatable, which is the next leg. So again, I'll try to keep it shorter this time. One version of it is you slide in, sorry, yeah. So that's one of them. It sounds okay, but there's a second one, which is the same. It starts the same, but then instead of going here, you keep your pivot here and you go. Obviously, it still sounds okay. It still sounds good. One challenge is exactly what I tried to show you right here is you have to kind of stay here, stretch, and then right before the bend you kind of have to let go of this shape and, you know, clutter up your fingers here so that you can prepare yourself for the bend. And for me, let's say it's not that hard because I'm used to bending with my pinky, but if you're one of those guys who bends primarily with his you know, ring finger, it's even harder to go from like this stretch position into this one, also eliminating the pinky. So therefore, I have my own version, which by coincidence, I think it sounds a lot more close to the original, which is you're sliding. Instead of, or that's what I prefer. And that's when Dave the Snake Sabo's solo ends and you go into Scotty Hill's solo. which is the following. Let me go here because this one is down on the neck. So it's I hope it's clear and I don't have to spend too much time on this one. So here you can just make it easier for you, and just after you have this bend, you're able to just slide this shape into place on the 5th and 7th frets of the G and D strings, and you can just go, you just have one roll here, right? And you go again straight into a bend. So after the bend, you have this. Sorry. And now and after this, sorry, right there I made too much of a long pause trying to show you in slow motion, and I lost track of where I was. So it's that's what happens when the solo is mostly muscle memory and you forget what the hell you're doing. So this is how I advise you to play it. Just have one full run descending, then turn back by two positions, and here you have but let me give you a trick which will help you for the next part. Here, don't do it like this, do it so with your index finger right here. You play the 7th on the D string, and then you play the 7th on the G string, and you slide on the G string all the way towards the 5th fret. And here, or let's say the reason why I told you to do it like this is because you're already landing in place for the next segment, which is so. And the last one, which is very simple, is so it's the D string, 1st fret, pull off to the open D string, D string, and then 1st fret E string, and either just one pinch harmonic on the open G string, choose one flavor. I like to leave it random for this part. Or you can just play it like a sluggish, messy pinch harmonic across both D and G strings, which is sort of like outlining the G chord, uh, an inversion of it, at least. So here you have and as a trick, if for some reason the fast pace doesn't allow you to go, just use the old-timer trick of holding your thumb over the neck and at the same time fret the E string on the first fret, which gives you basically a an F note. So and that's it. Sorry for the long rants, but again, you could have struggled with those early, finger placements and, direction of picking and all of those things. Although I could have given you the final version from the head start from the get-go, you'd have had the correct notes. But then again, you would have probably struggled a long time with, how to do it at a very fast speed. Which is quite fast, although you wouldn't think so when listening to the solo. But when you try to execute it, it's merciless. It's very fast, especially when changing in between parts. So I hope you won't hate me too much for the long rants, the ones when I explain in this one right now. But I just wanted you to have like a full picture of at least my journey while trying to learn this solo, like 7-8 years, 7 to 8 years after I initially learned it, but struggled with it, then forgot about it completely and completely forgot how to play it. Like 90% I forgot. I just remembered a little bit from the beginning. Anywho, have fun playing it, and don't forget to check out the cover, which is not that great like all my covers, but still. Have fun and some motivation seeing me deliver something which is human in terms of performance and is not stellar like some of the other alien players out there. This might give you a little bit of encouragement. You don't suck that much, right? So till next time, thumbs up, because I have no idea why I'm doing this on and on, and someone just sneezed in the other room. Maybe it got on cam, maybe it didn't. Anyway, till next time, boo. Bye bye.